What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and we have arrived. The Jets are practicing today as training camp really gets going for the 2025 green and white, and we will be all about it. You've got to be happy because this is kind of like day one of the Jets actually practicing. I believe this is the true start of the season as we really start to learn more about the green and white this year. And do not be surprised if in practices, if in training camps, the Jets are in pads a little bit more than other teams. The Jets are hitting each other a little bit more than other teams. We are now in a time and a culture in the NFL where guys get pulled from preseason games and don't even play some, where reps are done in practice in shirts and t-shirts, right? Where you have some of those joint practices, but a lot of teams take it light for fear of injury, right? There's always some injuries that happen, and the contracts are so crazy that you never want to have someone go down in training camp. However, Aaron Glenn has said that tackling and hitting and building the foundation from blocking and tackling is going to be an emphasis of training camp. Like I said, it's important for this new regime. Darren Moji, Aaron Glenn have talked about this violence, aggression, physicality as something that is important to them, and he goes, it's a tackling sport. So in this game, you've got to block and you've got to tackle. And the only way to get good at that craft is to do it. Do not be surprised if you see actually the Jets in pads, the Jets actually tackling each other in training camp to work on this. And quite frankly, they needed to, because last year the Jets allowed 2.6 yards after contact. That was tied for the fourth most in the NFL last year. Also, ball carriers against the Jets, they avoided 94 tackles. That's more than 5 a game. That's almost 6 a game, kind of broken tackles, juked out of their boots, kind of missed tackles. And that mark is the 8th most in the NFL. Listen, the Jets are trying to build a new brand, a new standard, one that is physical, one that is aggressive. So do not be surprised if they go ahead and tackle a little bit more in a day and age where not a lot of teams do that. And I actually think it's part of them building that new culture. And I think these young bucks who we've signed and brought in, remember, second youngest roster in the NFL, I think they are going to respond to it favorably. One guy on the Jets defense, who has not missed many tackles over the last few years, is Quinnen Williams. And we talked big about the kind of cornerstones for this organization over the last week or so, right? The extension to Sauce Gardner, the extension to Garrett Wilson. Well, we've also talked about how the offensive line has been ranked in the top 10. We talked about how Sauce was ranked the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL, how Garrett Wilson was ranked in the top 10. Well, don't forget about Q in the middle there. Quinnen Williams was ranked or named recently, this time by ESPN, as the 5th best interior defensive tackle in the league. One NFL coordinator put it, check it out, he's a guy you have to dedicate a game plan to. One of the most complete interior guys in the game. And if you look at his stats since 2022 among defensive tackles, he's actually ranked really well. He might be better than a top 5 D lineman. 2nd in pressures with 176. 3rd in sack rate and in sacks. 3rd in quote-unquote impact plays. 6th in TFL's tackles for loss. 6th best in a PFF grade. Defensive stops. Again, top 10 all across the board for Quinnen Williams. And I say this for a couple of reasons. One, like it says here, in the previous kind of decade, we only had one player get to a second contract. That was Big Mo Wilkerson, right? Since then, though, we've had Quinnen Williams sign a second deal in 2023. Now Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, right? So we have young, legitimate, big-time talent that is at a Pro Bowl or all-pro level. And the other thing I have to say about this, because a lot of people have been talking about who's going to play next to Quinnen Williams to kind of help this run defense that I was talking about with some of the missed tackles, some of the yards given up in the run game. And, we're going to see. That's one thing we're going to be talking about here on Jets' latest drought training camp. I think it's going to be Byron Cowart. There's also Derek Nandi, kind of more of a pure run stuffer. There's other guys like Tufele. We drafted guys out of Miami as well, if you remember. But here's the deal. I think some of the other moves and other approaches that we have on defense under Steve Wilks with Aaron Glenn is going to mitigate that a little bit. Think about what we have elsewhere in the defense. I think we're going to have, hopefully, a healthy Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald on the edge to be a above-average, young, edge rushing duo. I think we're going to be blitzing a little bit more, bringing guys like his brother Quinnen Williams, Jamie Sherwood a little bit more. I think we're going to be playing man coverage, which allows kind of us to bring more pressure in the box. And I think that is going to mitigate kind of the hole or the weak link next to Quinnen Williams that we have seen over the last couple of years. And quite frankly, I actually think Coward and Nandi combined will be able to pick up the slack. But I just don't want to forget about Q when we talk about all these rankings of where the Jets players rank in terms of their skill set at their position, and we talk about cornerstones of the Jets. Quinnen Williams is another cornerstone of the Jets, to be sure, and we're going to see him throughout training camp, throughout another season, once again, I believe, competing at an all-pro or a Pro Bowl level. You know, we talk about these cornerstones, we talk about guys getting the bag, and I got to tell you, the one guy who might be the odd man out here is Breece Hall. The only thing that I have an issue with here, and I've said it before on Jets Latest, we've talked about trade rumors for Breece Hall. The trade rumors continue for Breece Hall. I want to talk about this in two ways. One, stop it. He is the lead back for the New York Jets. He is a good NFL running back. Can we stop that? There are plenty of stats to describe this, outline this. He is a good running back and one of the better pass-catching running backs in the NFL, okay? On the other side, I do believe that his fantasy production, for example, will not necessarily be as high this year, right? Because Braylon Allen is going to be involved, because Isaiah Davis is going to be involved, because Justin Fields is going to be able to run the ball as well. And that could mean that unlike some of the other guys from that 2022 draft, Sauce, Garrett Wilson, even Jermaine Johnson, some other young studs like maybe an AVT coming up for an extension, maybe Breece Hall is not going to have the statistical prowess and get what he wants as a big-time second contract, the way we just talked about with Quinnen Williams, right? However, we need to stop with the trade talk, okay? Like, Bleacher Report came out here and said that there's another trade report that could happen next offseason. He's here for now. Let's leverage him for now. They reported, that it would be like, who would win this trade? Would they do the trade? With the Jets and the Commanders, where Terry McLaurin, a wide receiver from Washington, who is disgruntled with his contract situation, and Austin Eckler and a pick would come from Washington for the idea of Breece Hall and a pick. And, I know that's nice fodder out there, but can we stop? Can we get behind Breece Hall this year as part of what I think is going to be a running back by committee, which actually is bad for fantasy, but good for the Jets? Listen to what Aaron Glenn says. He goes, I would say that we have 3 running backs on this team that we're going to utilize as much as possible. I don't know if there are 3 running backs in the league that have the potential like these 3. And there I outline kind of Breece Hall as a pass-catching back, but you also have to understand we've got Braylon Allen, and I've talked about what he's been able to do, right? 5.5 yards per touch, kind of his touchdown idea and percentage. Now, I think this year, Hall and Allen are going to be a Sonic and Knuckles. I think Justin Fields is going to be great out of the run game. I think Isaiah Davis could have a role spelling these guys. But when it comes to next year, let's worry about that next year. Will he get traded? Maybe, but I don't want to kind of put so much shade on Breece Hall for this year. I don't know that he's going to earn record-breaking contracts like a Sauce Gardner, like a Garrett Wilson. I don't know that he's going to be a priority, even like a Jamie Sherwood, quite frankly. But we have him now, and we should celebrate the fact that we have him now. At the start of training camp is not the time to get into all of these trade rumors. Let's be positive and optimistic about this, right? So that's another edition of Jets Latest. Training camp is here. We will continue to look at some position battles. We'll look at who's flashing. We'll look at what the coaches and the players are saying. And we also want to see what you are saying. Thank you for the growth here. We are approaching 2,000 subscribers. I love it when you watch. I love it when you engage with me, whether it be on these videos or on social media. Find me on social media, X, @SpittinSpeeds. And I not only want to bring in just all the rose-colored glasses stuff. Look at what the Anonymous Collector 2932 had to say about the Sauce and Garrett Wilson extensions. He goes, This is really bad news for Fields. The bar for Fields is now Super Bowl or bust. If he has a bad game or can't lead them far into the playoffs, the Jets financially will have to go out and get a quarterback in the draft. I was just getting ready to order my Fields jersey, but it's probably not worth it now. And then interesting, Chase Marie disagrees, says not necessarily as long as we break out of the playoff drought and he has a solid season. I can see them extending him for 2 more years. We need to manage expectations here, people. I know the Jets fan base is impatient at times and ready to throw kind of dirt on guys like Breece Hall or Justin Fields if they slip up. But let's reset this expectation. We don't need to have a deep playoff run. All we need to do, and I have said this here, I'm projecting 9 wins for the Jets, okay? All I think we need to do is be moving in the right direction, have this new culture solidify a little bit, have Justin Fields show that, yes, he is QB1, and he is still continuing to develop and grow. I don't think it's Super Bowl or bust. Let's not have it be some kind of black and white binomial expectation here. Let's enjoy what could just be the beginning of a turnaround like we have seen in other places. We got Julian at TD5WT, who says, will I be going to any Jets games this season? Listen, my family had season tickets. My grandparents had season tickets all the way back since Shea Stadium in the Joe Willie days, okay? We gave them up, unfortunately, about 20 years ago when the PSLs happened. We just couldn't do it. I still try to make it to a couple of Jets games a year, so I don't know which ones they are going to be. I don't have them yet, but if I am going, let me know. And hit people up over here on Jets Latest. Maybe y'all need to have a tailgate, record a video, send it to me. Hit me up so I know, okay? But if I am going, I will certainly let you guys know on a week-to-week basis, and y'all can tailgate with me. We can hang out as we continue to grow this channel, this community, this family here. And then at BuddhaLove77 says, this is excellent analysis. Thank you. Thank you all right? The growth of Jets Latest, I have been encouraged with, and I'm going to continue to bring that heat. Training camp is here, and we should be excited. It also means football season is here. So if you want to get ready for your fantasy football team, remember, I'm the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM Channel 87. I've been doing fantasy analysis and expert for years out there in industry drafts and things of that nature. So if you need any help to win your leagues and win that cash, I'm here for you on the FTN Fantasy Show on Sirius, but also on social media. Hit me up at Spittin' Speeds. I am also on a show called In Game Live on Sports Grid TV, where we at night go around all the action. It could be NBA, football, college, NHL, WNBA, Major League Baseball, and we try to find live betting opportunities for you. Live betting is all the rage, and there's really some opportunities in the market, and this show is a second screen experience. If you're watching the game and want to bet on the game, we got you. If you see something, say something. But if you are with the green and white, I want to stay focused on the Jets for 2025. I think it's going to be a very good season. Let's not put crazy expectations on it, people. Let's just enjoy what could be the ground floor of building something real and sustainable as a turnaround for this franchise. Like I said, my grandparents had season tickets at Shea Stadium, okay? So if you are a long-suffering Jets fan, even without that Super Bowl or bust, even without going 13-4, even without a deep run in the playoffs, hopefully this 2025 season, which is starting with our first training camp practice today, is something we can be proud of and something we can celebrate here in this community on Jets Latest. We'll be back talking about it all tomorrow, but for this edition, we out of here. Peace.